Welcome back into Infamously Speaking. I'm Matt. That's Quan. And we are excited because, man, it's going to be action-packed show. We're talking Bam Adebayo, 83-point night against the Washington Wizards. We're talking USA's, I don't even know what to call it, just absolute shit show of a performance against Italy last night in the World Baseball Classic. Now they're depending on Italy to pick them up to get them into the quarterfinals. We're going to talk Maxx Crosby and the Ravens and that little mini saga that happened there, and much more. And of course, what Infamously Speaking is always about, how sports reflects life, how we can learn from these situations and apply them to our day-to-day. But before we jump into all that, you guys already know the drill. If you're not already subscribed to the Infamously Speaking YouTube channel, please do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, helps the show grow. If you listen on Spotify, Apple, or any other podcast platform, please be sure to follow, like the show, leave a rating, leave a review. Again, helps the show grow. Lastly, if you're not already following us on TikTok, Instagram, at Infamously Speaking, be sure to do so. We're dropping clips on the daily, sometimes exclusive content that you'll only find there. With that being said, my spiel is over. I'm going to kick it to my guy, Quan. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling much better mentally, first and foremost. I'm feeling like opportunities have been arising finally. I feel like I'm still going through things, don't get me wrong, but continue to be optimistic. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be on the show. Been getting a lot of great feedback, specifically on the topics we've been talking about, the clips you've been putting out, which I appreciate. There's finally some more footage of me, and it's not always you. So thankful for that. Give me some shine. Uh, I sound somewhat enlightening, or at least experienced. I'll say experienced. Other than that, like again, I'm just excited to be here, brother.
Love it. Love it. Well, we could jump right into it. I know that you have some strong thoughts about Bam Adebayo's performance against the Washington Wizards. Again, dropping 83 points, which is second all time, surpassing the great Kobe Bryant. So I'll let you start us off.
Yeah, first and foremost, I think we gotta give it up for Bam to still drop 83. Now I know there's been a lot of conversation about how he did it, the team he did it against, and the manner that it happened, but 83 is 83 nonetheless. Still significant achievement. What I will say is this, right? Because we talked about relating this to real life and us and our work and our personal lives, etc. And I just had this conversation with multiple people, including my daughter, where no matter what you do, how substantial, how significant it may be, how positive it may be, you can bring, I don't know, you could do something for charity, and someone's like, well, why'd you pick that charity? Like there's always, unfortunately, so there's always some negative comments that are being had, especially online or in general, right? So it's terrible to see it, right? Now, I'm not saying you can't critique it. Like, even myself, I feel like 43 free throws is kind of outrageous. But at the same time, I'll give credit when credit's due.
That's a record, by the
He
way.
still had to make them. Right?
Yes.
You give
Yes.
Shaq 43 free throws, he's not hitting 50% of those. What's Shaq's career free throw percentage at the line? Do you know?
I'll find out right now.
Yeah. So it's like, it's quick and easy to downplay something that's, significant or an achievement such as 83 points in a single game. But instead of congratulating one, we're quick to knock him down, which is extremely unfortunate.
And 7%, by the way.
Wow.
Shaq's career. Yeah.
I was almost
Yeah.
there. That's 50%, I said?
Yeah, you were close. Pretty much, every other one you're making. No, I agree with that. I agree with both things that you said. Number one, again, he has to make it. And I mean, let's not forget, because I think that's what's going to happen. People get swept up in how the game ended, and they might forget how the game started. He broke the Heat all-time scoring record, which LeBron James held, 61 points. He had 62 through three quarters. So it's not like he wasn't cooking. The free throw shooting, a lot of it happened in the fourth, and I get it, a lot of people, right? Spo had a big part to do with that, where they were intentionally missing free throws, and they were, following Wizards players to be able to stop the game clock to make them shoot free throws. But at the end of the day, 83 is 83, whether you want to say it was done ethically or not. I mean, sure. I mean, that's your perspective, but 83 is 83 at the end of the day. And, I think a lot of it has to do with who he surpassed. And that was Kobe Bryant, right? And Kobe holds a lot, special place in a lot of people's hearts, especially those who were fortunate to watch him play because of his work ethic, because of the way that he showed up. Not only was he the ultimate competitor, he was one of the ultimate killers in the sport. Remind a lot of folks of the older generation, their favorite player, which was Michael Jordan, but also had his own flair to the game. And I think his mentality is worldwide, right? The Mamba mentality, and people are like, Kobe wouldn't have done that. And because of his performance and the Lakers actually being down that game against Toronto, and they needed those 81 to win. I get it, right? When you compare the two, like Kobe's might be more impressive, but to your point, 83 is 83, dog. Why can't we celebrate it? But I think it's real simple. And I remember my pastor said something like this once. And he was like, every good thing is gonna have something bad spoken out against it. And for multiple reasons. It could be for a multitude of reasons. It could be jealousy, envy, hate, right? All the people that was talking shit, none of them have ever done it, clearly, because only one person's ever scored more in an NBA game than Bam. So none of them have done it. They can't describe what it's like to do that. So what's an easy thing to do? Try to knock it down. To be like, oh, well, if it wasn't for this, it was against the Wizards and he took all those free throws. Like, come on, man. Come on, man.
It's similar to what I said to you pre-show, what Colin said on the herd, which is, many other superstars, many other players in the league played the Wizards. They didn't drop 83. People have opportunities. And I get it, right? Because you said it where was it done ethically, which I kind of laugh at that because I'm always big on doing shit the right way, right? Just with morals and character. So that is one part that I would disagree with, which is the blowout. I'm not too concerned about, but it's more so you're blowing them out and you're still fouling them and stuff, like to slow the clock down. So to me, I think he said it best, where 83 is a hell of an achievement, but I still respect Kobe's more based on how he did it and the circumstances.
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, everybody's gonna have their performance that they like more, and that's fine. I just think, tying it back to the everyday person, right? How does something like this relate to you in your world? Is you can't get discouraged if you do something really great and somebody says something bad about you. In fact, what I would say is I'd caution this. If you're living the right way, someone's always gonna say something bad about you. Period. I'd be concerned if everybody was your friend. That's not how the world works. Because you can't live to please everybody. If you're living to please everybody, then you're not living the right way. Because there's people that just don't have any good within them. And if you're pleasing the people that don't have any good within them, then you're doing something bad. So don't be concerned when people speak out against you. If you know you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing and you're doing them the right way, you're doing them with integrity, honestly, like you were saying, people are going to say things like that. And it comes from a place, maybe they're hurt because you're getting recognized for something that they did before and they didn't get recognized for that. I know we talked about that on the show previously before, which is like, you don't know what past traumas people are dealing with. I think we were talking about that more with parenting. So you could try to look to understand, like, why is this person coming out against me? Well, maybe they were in similar shoes and they didn't get the spotlight. Maybe it's because that person feels they can never achieve what you've done, so they try to pull you down instead of trying to build you up. That's another thing. So, just trying to connect it to something that people might face. Curious what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. One, if you're living to please others, you're gonna burn out real quick because that's a tall task. They even crucified Jesus, man. You know what I mean? Like, good luck.
Good luck.
The other thing is, like, this is what I always talk about, right? If you do shit the right way, or if you do things that you feel you put your best foot forward, and you had good intentions, and you could sleep at night. Like I hear a lot of talks about when I would win things or success I had, and it's like there's questions. I don't mind it, right? Because if I could lay my head down at night and sleep good, I'm good with that. And I usually use that for me personally, right? Because we're talking about me being experiences. It's like I usually use that as fuel, just fuel for the fire. I like that. I like the conversations. I appreciate you having me on your mind for whatever reason. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
that's fact. I think it's good when people ask questions, even if it's from a place of being upset or being trying to be hateful. You know what it is? Because it's like, hey, listen. Number one, it kind of helps you understand, but two, it gives you a chance to speak your truth. To be like, nah, you think that you know what I did to achieve this or to win this. What you don't know is how many coaching conversations I had to have with people to get
it.
them
Hmm.
aligned to this one vision. How
Hmm.
I had to talk with them to connect their personal goals to what we were trying to achieve together. How many, you know, conversations you had to have that weren't pleasant and positive with people? Accountability or stepping it up conversations. How many times you had to challenge yourself to be like, hey, what am I not doing right that we're not achieving this goal? I think so many people kind of forget that journey up to winning something. And I think sports do a really good job of kind of capturing those moments when you see like the award shows and people win MVP or the awards and they give up and they give a little speech. Like comeback player of the year, I think is always a great one because we saw how that person fell off, whether it was due to an injury or personal reason why they had to step away. We have a very, or at least a better picture of the road that they had to overcome to get to that peak or pinnacle.
Hmm.
And I don't think we realize that in the day to day when people get achieved at, get recognized at work, that there was some kind of journey that they had to go through to get that award. I understand that it feels sometimes like it's handed to certain people. But if you take the time to ask questions and be curious to be like, what was that journey to get from where you were to where you are? Then I think a lot of people will, might slow down. I think Bam talked about it. He was like, I was a defensive player and a lob threat coming out of college. And he just dropped 83 in the game. That's a journey.
Respect it. Yeah, no, I respect it. I think we referenced it before too, where the journey itself is what we appreciate, right? It's the grind from getting from point A to point B. How do we do that? What steps was taken? You said it best. Like you didn't see us coaching, you didn't see us in the gym, right? You didn't see that. You didn't see the action plan that I put together and it failed. And then I had to redo the action plan or pivot this way. You didn't see that. You just see the end result. And now you have something to say. But that's cool because I know the work that I put in. And that's where it goes back to like, all right, I can sleep at night and know what I did. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think another place where people can relate to it is if somebody else gets a promotion over you. You're like, why did that person get it? I know we talked about that on a recent show too. It's like, what did that person do to deserve it that I didn't? And it's like, do you understand that person's journey? And I get it. I'm not talking about the fringe case on some bullshit because that happens. Of course, that happens. Favoritism, stuff like that. But even if that is the case, there's still a lesson you can find somewhere in there. I know we talk about it all the time. We used to talk about it. It was like, how can I make my progress, my journey, my value so evident that when the next opportunity arises, there's no chance that they could pass me over. There's no chance.
Yeah.
Regardless of their feelings about somebody else, there's no chance that they could pass me over.
I got a question for you because this happened recently. I have a young man that's in my under my umbrella, and he has a lot of growing and development he has to work on, right? But a ton of potential. And we talked about if an opportunity comes, he's more worried about the opportunity as opposed to the development piece. And I pointed that out so he could have some awareness. So, speaking to what you're just talking about, he's as prepared as possible when that opportunity does come. What is your take on connecting with someone who does show a lot of potential and he's bought in, but he doesn't grasp the whole totality of what it may take, right?
Let me just ask a clarifying question. So is it he's more concerned about the opportunity arising and focusing on that and not as much as focusing on the skills, developing the skills that will
Correct.
prepare him for it?
Correct. Now, let me give you a little bit of context too. The reason why I think he's has that approach, which is he's talked to upper leadership and they kind of promised him at least an interview and like almost like some hope, right?
Mhm.
Which is fair because, like I said, maybe that leader sees the potential he has. But um, from my perspective, if he was to go into that role right now, it wouldn't
Struggle.
be, yeah, it would be a struggle.
I think you just play him last week's episode. Yesterday's success doesn't dictate what happens today. And so whenever he spoke to that leader, maybe what he was doing at that time that the leader had visibility to, you know, that leader's assuming, yeah, this guy's going to keep doing great things like that. So when the opportunity does arise, there's no reason why he shouldn't get at least an interview. If that employee that you're talking about was like, oh, I kind of got my ticket already. All I got to do is just wait for the event to show up. Nah,
Mm,
that ain't going to work. You got to continue to grind. You got to continue to improve. Because you know what? I'd be extremely disappointed. Let's say that he did get an interview and that person, say I was the manager he spoke to for whatever, right? And let's say I'm on the interview panel now and I'm listening to him. If he was coming with the same things that he told me on my call, let's say 6 months ago, I'm like, well, so what have you done the last 6 months? Because you just told me this. You told me that 6 months ago. You come with the same examples. What have you done to continue to develop yourself? Because you know what that shows me? What happens when you get this role? Are you going to stop developing?
correct.
That's the way I'm
Correct.
looking at it.
Thank you. Very well said.
Yeah,
I hope
play
he
him that.
listens to this. I will.
Play him that. Play him that. And I think that's what it is because I was having a conversation and it's really simple. I think great leaders understand you're not looking for the polished product. You're not looking for the finished product when you hire somebody. You're looking at what they've done already, but then also what you believe they'll be able to do. The only way that I can formulate an opinion on what I think you're going to be able to do in the future is based on not what you did 6 months ago, but what you've done consistently over the course of these 6 months. So then I know it's not just a flash in the pan, it's behavior, it's habit. You're going to continue to grow and develop once you get into this new role. And that's what's going to help you continue to grow so for the next role and the role after that. You can't be focused on that. You know what I mean? You gotta keep
Yeah.
putting in the work.
Really good perspective. I think I'll relay that message of like, what are you doing now? Because right, what happens when you get to that next role? You're gonna
Yep.
be complacent and
Sounds like
stagnant.
it.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Sounds like it. 100%. 100%. All right. So any last comments, thoughts about the 83 from Bam other than congratulations?
No,
Okay. Let's move to we're recording this March 11th. It'll be in the top right corner. You guys will see when it posts, which will be next Monday, right? And so there'll be a couple WBC games that have happened since then. But the reason I want to talk about Italy beating Team USA 8-6 yesterday, March 10th, is because of all the things surrounding it. Not the fact that they lost a baseball game, right? That can happen. We know that sports is any given day. Have you heard all the discourse around Team USA's loss yesterday? Okay.
sir.
So
Fill me in.
earlier in the day, Team USA's manager, Mark DeRosa, goes on MLB Network Hot Stove, which is a program on there, and it's talking about, hey, we're getting ready for this game. No disrespect to, I'm paraphrasing here, no disrespect to Italy, but we're kind of in a weird spot because we already got our ticket punched to the quarterfinal, right? He thought that USA already qualified because at the time they were 3. Mexico was 2-1. Italy was also 3-0. So he's like, hey, our ticket's punched. So it doesn't matter win or lose. We'll be good. We're through to the next round. Okay. Then later on in the day, he's talking about how some of the guys were out late or, in the clubhouse talking. Some of the guys were dragging before the game because they were out late. Then they put up that clunker of a game against Italy. And it turns out, right, like, hey, US, you're not safe. There's a way that you don't make the quarterfinals if you don't win this game. And it looks like they're going to make it as of right now. Italy's absolutely destroying Mexico. Pretty much all to say is the manager thought they were in. They totally were not in. Guys were out late, maybe later than they normally would be preparing for a game if it was really important. They put up their worst performance of the tournament. Manager comes after the game and says, I made a mistake. I miscalculated. I misspoke. I messed up. Outside looking in, what's your just initial reaction to that?
Terrible leadership.
Right. Okay.
New York Giants.
Don't do that.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about like when they went on the boat.
The boat. Yeah, the boat.
But that's my initial reaction. Why slouch? What's the point of that? Because you're already in? I don't know. I think that's just the competitiveness in me too. It's like I don't want to lose a game if I don't have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You
And
want
then
to
I
win.
feel like the leadership to like not have your players like be out all night. Like, what does that tell you?
I mean, they were out all night. Apparently, there was reports they were in the clubhouse late, just chopping it up. It's not like they were out getting wasted. You know what I mean? At the clubs down in Houston. You know what I mean? But it's I thought the same thing. I'm like, there's just certain things, and this is not to pile on Mark DeRozan, right? Everybody's killing him already. But it's as a leader, you set the tone, right? And now, should somebody in the building have known, like, hey, yeah, this game is really important for us to win. So we should probably put our best lineup out there, right? Somebody should have tapped them on the shoulder. If they didn't, right? We don't know because they didn't ask a follow-up question to be like, did you find out between now and the game that the game was important? Like, when did you find out that, yeah, you could potentially be eliminated if you lose this game? No one asked them that question. So we don't really know. It's just a speculation.
Mm-hmm.
But as a leader of men, the people you lead are going to follow you. So if like, oh, yeah, our manager's being lax, he's taking it off. And I'm not saying the guys didn't try to lock in and play, right? I'm just speaking from my own experience. You're going to follow the tone of the people who are supposed to set it. And so if it's a little lax, you might be, and in sports, especially when it's competitive, that little relaxation is all it takes for an opponent that shouldn't have beat you to pounce on you, to get up, and now you're in a hole where you can't dig yourself out of.
Yeah. Another thought that came to mind was just a lack of awareness. Like, how do you have that much lack of awareness? Like, this isn't a guarantee. I don't know. What I will say is like your approach to any game, I think especially like the World Baseball Classic, right? You said it. It got people paying attention who don't normally lock into baseball. You have an opportunity to gain more fans, right?
Yep.
You have an opportunity to have people interested in the game of baseball, the players, the coaches, that you might not necessarily see on a regular basis. So when you have these opportunities, all right, let's relate it to something. This just came to mind. It's like when you have an opportunity, right? And you just let it go to the wayside because you feel like you got it. It's almost relatable to what you said with like last episode where like, I put in the work. I'm good now. What do you mean?
Right.
What do you mean?
Right. Yes, 100%.
I think too, like as a coach, like you want to just continue to sharpen your skills. You're playing another undefeated team. Let's see who's better. Oh no, let's stay out all night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's my take on that.
I think just to add to your point, right? Like there's a different vibe around this World Baseball Classic, very much like the Olympics, right? Where, to your point, when people that don't necessarily might not care about the sport, they care about seeing their country win, regardless of what it is, right? Like, who here is an avid curling watcher, but who is who was like, "Oh, we won whatever medal," or figure skating. Who's an avid figure skating watcher? No shade at the people who are, but how many of us are, right? But because from whatever country, it doesn't matter what country you're in, because these people are wearing your team's colors and running out with your team's flag and representing your country, you're instantly gravitated and drawn to this. And you want to see them perform well. And then when you see this, it's not just that the US lost, right? Because again, it's a game, it's any given day. Things happen. It's the fact of what happened before it, where it seems like, to your point, there was a lack of focus, a lack of awareness. There was so many things that were controllable that seems to have played into the US's defeat. Now, again, we don't know, right? They could play Italy again, in the elimination round, and Italy could be on this shit and they could smack us around again. Because I guarantee the US ain't going to be, they're not going to be caught lacking when every game's an elimination game. But I think that's what, for most people, is so frustrating. Where it's like these are things that you can control, and yet it's the little details. And then you got powerhouses, and then it kind of takes away your hopes. Like, what hope do we have to beat a Dominican Republic or Japan, who just have murder lineups 1 through 9?
Yeah.
So it should be a good
You made me think
elimination
of
stage, though.
you made me think of two things. One is just to tie it in with kind of brought up the Olympics. First off, let me bring it back a little bit. I actually enjoy watching curling when it's on. I do. For
I think
whatever reason.
everybody does, to be honest with you.
For what?
It's just not on a lot.
The reason why the Dream Team is so high on everybody's list as probably the greatest team I've ever assembled together is because they dominated, right? This was an opportunity where if the U.S. took them serious and they dominated them, you have now ripped the confidence out of Italy. So if you have to play them again, I'm sure they're feeling that. Like, yo, this team is the real deal, right? Three, excuse me. Something you've been saying all season for the NFL when the Patriots was killing people that they were supposed to be killing. When you have those games where you feel like you should be dominating, and I'm not saying they should have dominated Italy because they were undefeated too, right? But if you feel like that, then you got to go put in that work, regardless of what you think the outcome may lead to, as far as already being locked in. But that also tells me like you lack the competitiveness, right? Which kind of reminds me of like LeBron.
I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting that pivot.
I threw it a little slander. I fuck with LeBron.
I know.
But that's why I felt like Jordan was different, as everybody knows.
No, I love the mentions to the Dream Team. And the thing is, I wasn't around for that. But even when you watch the documentaries of it, like the aura around it was so different. And of course, it was like the return, right, of pro basketball players to the Olympics. So that was something a little different. But to your point, just the level of domination at that sport, on a global stage. And I think if you got to think about it like this too, like at least from a United States standpoint, is that baseball is an American sport, right? Like it was invented and first played here. The best players in the world, most of them, are American born, right? Obviously, Shohei's the best baseball player in the world. He's Japanese, but a majority of the best baseball players are American. And so when you have other countries beating you, and I get like DR is a powerhouse right now because of the lineup that they have in Japan. But when you have a country like Italy, you're like, wait a second, what the heck? Coming up and beating you. That's no disrespect to Italy, but they're not known as a baseball nation, right? It's not like you lost to DR or PR or Japan. You lost to Italy. So, that's like if we beat Italy in the World Cup, if the US beat Italy in the World Cup, that would be a fucking massive upset. The US doesn't play soccer. Women's US soccer is really good, but you know what I mean? Like if we see the US go really far in the World Cup, making upsets, that's kind of what the equivalent to this is of Italy being the USA. So love those points. I love all those points. And I think, just tying it back to the everyday is, again, take nothing for granted. Take nothing for granted. Attack every situation with the same ferocity And tying it back to what we talked about in the first segment, right? That's why so many people loved Kobe Bryant. It didn't matter who he was playing, who his matchup was, whether they were, the Lakers should have mopped the floor with them, or if the Lakers are an underdog, he was killing anybody who went up against him. You feel that way about LeBron?
No, I don't.
Yeah, let's get messy.
I
Trying
don't.
to get messy.
He'd rather be on the banana boat with his ops. That's a true story. I'm not making that up.
Wild pictures, by the way. If I was them, I would have paid so much money to get them scrubbed from the internet somehow. Like,
With all
that's a
four
crazy
of them,
picture.
they have it.
Wild picture. Wild picture. All right. I want to jump to at least one more thing before we wrap, and that's the Maxx Crosby getting traded from the Raiders to the Ravens for 2 first overall picks, and then Baltimore backing out on the deal due to injury concerns. So first, I know off camera you have some strong thoughts about it, and so I want to let you go there first, and then we can just go from there.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I was so disappointed when I seen he went to the Ravens. Obviously, they ended up taking Trey Hendrickson, right? That just means we have an opportunity to get Maxx Crosby. I know Maxx Crosby mentioned, at least from reports, the Ravens, the Patriots, and I don't remember the other team that he was interested in. But I think that's an opportunity, right? There was a ball that was dropped, whether it was because of the physical or whatever the case may be. But you have the opportunity to steal one of the best defensive linemen in the league. Go get him. And we're at the cusp, right? Because we went to the Super Bowl. That's only going to be a significant addition that will potentially get us that ring. So I would make that move to go get him 2 firsts. You kind of mentioned it. Like, we're picking at the end of the draft. I'm cool with that. For a Maxx Crosby, all day.
Absolutely.
All day.
I think the concern, right, is is he going to be able to remain healthy? Like, that's the biggest concern. That's reportedly why the Ravens backed out of the deal, right? But I mean, it worked out for the Ravens phenomenally because they were able to keep their 2 first-round picks, and they're picking higher than the Patriots are. I believe their first-round pick this year is at 14. Which I believe the last time they drafted 14th overall, they got Kyle Hamilton, who's like the best safety in the league. So who knows? Maybe you'll luck into something like that again at 14. So it was a come up for the Ravens, but I agree with you. If I'm the Patriots, I'm taking the swing, and here's why. We talked about it last episode. What's the bigger risk? Him getting hurt? Him potentially going to a competitor in the AFC? That's an option. Or you just not having a top 5 pass rusher in the NFL when healthy. Maybe probably top 3, honestly, because he plays the run so well as well, which a lot of premier pass rushers don't do. So I agree. I'd love to see the Patriots make a move, especially because you see what Buffalo's doing. Looking at the landscape, trading for DJ Moore, right? Getting a number 1 receiver. I believe they just signed Bradley Chubb.
They did?
I believe so, yeah. I think it was like 3 years, 50-something million, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a big move for them, getting that pass rush shored up. Seeing that landscape. So I would love that move for them. I just think it's really interesting. If you're Maxx Crosby, we're like, hey, this deal's in place, and then all of a sudden it crumbles. Like, you think Baltimore didn't know the information that they knew before? It just seems a little. What they did they didn't break any rules, but it feels like they were tiptoeing around some infractions. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels a little suspect. Like, if you were another team, would you want to do business with Baltimore after that?
No. It's like reneging. It's like, I
That's
remember
exactly what that is.
Yeah, I remember. Shout out to my man Daniel Lonsky. I remember. I forgot what year this was. A long time ago, though. We had made a trade, right? But prior to the trade, I had to trade somebody else for a player he wanted in fantasy football, and I wanted Julio Jones at the time, and Danny had him. And I said, "Look, if I get this player, I'm only going to make this trade if I can get Julio, and I'll give you the player that I'm trading for and somebody else." I don't remember who it was. So I made the trade because he agreed. And he tried not trading. Oh man, it was like, yo, I can't believe the like.
Unethical.
Yeah,
Unethical.
yeah, yeah. Finally, I guilt tripped him enough where he ended up making a trade. So shout out to Danny for eventually standing on his word. But in the moment, it was like, bro, what are we doing? Like, you a man, right? All you have is your word and your balls. Like, stand on that.
You saying that shit in a game that starts with the word fantasy is insane. You challenging people's ethics and morals around fantasy football is insane, bro.
That's the
But no,
principle.
it's real. No, I
We
know, I
came to an
know.
agreement. We came to an agreement.
I feel the same way though. I would have reacted the same way. I'm like, oh hell no.
Well, I just
Hell
gave up.
no.
I gave up some key pieces to go get somebody to go get somebody.
Did you win the chip?
No,
Damn.
no,
Did
I
you come
didn't.
close?
Yeah, I don't remember where I finished exactly, but I know I came close. I mean, I come close every year, so there's probably like 2 years I didn't really come close in that league.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
Sorry.
You forgot.
Wow, fantasy football right around the corner. Draft coming up, dynasty draft. Gonna have
Yo,
to
I'm
get
I'm
back into
out of
some
the
of that
loop.
stuff. Get back in.
I'm relying on infamously speaking Matt
Whoa.
specifically to
No, don't do that.
for
Don't
my
do that.
information.
Yo, listen, man. I almost made a run last year in our dynasty league. I almost made a run. I hate Matthew
Don't
Stafford.
don't
I think what I could do is wrap the Maxx Crosby one and then Maxx Crosby. I call it Maxx Cosby. Like he's about to fucking pull a Rick Ross.
slipper pill. Yeah. Dude, like I don't think Max Crosby's I don't know if he fits in our organization, if that makes sense.
In what way?
You ever watch him? I
Like
feel like
off the
Vrabel will
field?
check him. Yeah, I feel like Vrabel will check him.
Listen, if Diggs fit, Max will fit.
Pause.
Yo. Oh, yo.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That is insane, actually. That is nuts.
So just to kind of wrap on the Maxx Crosby situation, I want to ask you this question. How how do you go back? You don't even obviously we don't know if he's gonna land on the Raiders, if they're gonna move him again still. But like how does that impact you? Let's just say that.
Me as Max Crosby?
Yeah, or if you were in that spot, like how would you be feeling right
I
now?
think his body of work would still land him in a good amount of rosters, right? So I think also too you could spin it as like, he's doing the politically correct thing as far as like being excited for a new team that was willing to invest in him. So I think you could spin it that way. I don't think there's any like harm in that. But I think that's a good case of similar to the US where like you're getting ahead of yourself because the deal wasn't finalized.
That's true. I mean, I think and they were talking about this on a sports show. I can't remember which one, and I don't want to throw one out there and misquote, but like they were talking about like sometimes that is like the price that people pay for the sake of information, right? Because journalism and things get leaked so early now, where we have all these free agent things where it's like, hey, they're expected to sign this, they're expected to sign that, but nothing's official until the league year opens. Just because we don't see it a lot doesn't mean it can't happen. And so I think it's because we don't see these things happen so much that players will post like, hey, the normal post when a player gets traded, like it was an honor to play for this franchise, but I'm excited for my next step or whatever. And unfortunately for him, he just happened to record a podcast. But I agree with you. I think if I was Max Crosby, I'd look at it that same way. Like, listen, I know what my body of work is. I know when healthy, I'm a top 3 rusher in the league and one of the best all around ends in the league as far as being able to play the run in the pass. And I'm going to end up in a good situation, whether it's with the Raiders. Like, if you end up staying with the Raiders, he talked about how much he loved being a Raider. And it's kind of like, if I'm looking at this, I don't blame Vegas for trying to move him. You're picking first overall. You need assets. So
Yeah.
I don't blame Vegas for trying to do it. And hopefully, if he does end up staying in Vegas, obviously there's going to be some trust being rebuilt in that relationship. But Like, hopefully he understands their side that that is a business. They were trying to send him to what I think a lot of people think would be a winning situation in Baltimore. They just had a down year, but you got one of the best quarterbacks in football in his prime. But yeah, that's a tough one, man. I don't know 100% how I'd feel if it's like, damn, you
No,
know?
I think it goes back to, earlier episodes where we talked about missing out on opportunities that we thought were ours, or the right fit for us. Where it's
Mhm.
like you go back to the drawing board. That opportunity seized because it wasn't meant for you, right? Now you have the potential to go to the Patriots and be on a team that just went to the Super Bowl. So you might land in a better spot as far as
That's
winning,
true.
right? So, you know, we talked about it. God already has a plan for you. And
Right.
Baltimore wasn't it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He could land on the Patriots or, he could be a cowboy. Yikes. You know what I mean? That could,
Yeah.
get dealt a dirty hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I want to, so we could wrap the Maxx Crosby talk. I just thought that was fascinating. And I think once free agency kind of quiets down a little bit, maybe right before we get into the draft or maybe right after the draft, we'll kind of do like here's the landscape of the NFL going into next season, right? We'll kind of make some early thoughts and predictions on that for our football people. But I wanted to kind of just end the show by doubling back to the beginning of the show a little bit when we talked about Bam Adebayo's 83 to kind of talk about a bigger point at large is why people hate on success. Why do people celebrate struggles but hate when people make it or when people do great things?
I
And I
think
know
it's
it's
just
it's
I
very
think it
common
ties
in our
into what you
community.
said. I think it just ties into what you said, whether it's hate, envy, jealousy, right? Where and I also think that for whatever reason, other people's success disturbs disturbs people because they feel like maybe it's taken away from theirs for whatever reason.
Well, I mean, yes, I agree with that 100%. Where they
I
think if
mean
yeah, I guess my bad.
I mean, like the common fan, obviously, they're not gonna be in the NBA scoring 83 though.
Right.
I think it's also like it's 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 the era we're in with social media, and it's cool to troll and just talk shit on the keyboard.
Oh, for sure. But I think it goes beyond that, right? Obviously, when it comes to like sports and stuff, these athletes are at the top of the mountain when it comes to whatever they're doing. Like you don't make these leagues that we have here in America if you're not the best of the best. So this to the average person, it's like, yo, what room do you have to talk? Right? We
Yeah.
still do because that's the discourse and we enjoy having discourse. But I think even kind of I was saying a little bit was I think that mentality is really prevalent in our communities. Think about that. Think about when artists are up and coming, everybody supports them, right? Everybody's, like, oh, I love what you're doing, keep on hustling. And then they make it and it's like, oh, this guy switched up, or, well, I don't support this dude no more. And for whatever reason, it's like you tear people down. I think part of it is that they feel like because this person's getting shine, any light that you have is gone. But I also think what it does do is it shines a light on, well, if they did it, why didn't you? Why couldn't you? And that makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
I could agree with that. I could agree with that. I think it's just I don't know why, but it feels like it's a natural thing now. It's like human instinct to just pick apart somebody's success or achievement.
Maybe
But
it's a
you have
self-preservation thing.
great call out. I think that's the best way to put it. How do we my question, I think the bigger question is how do we change that? Is it even something we can change?
I think everything starts with intentional action. And it starts with identifying, are you doing stuff like that? And it could be real simple. Like when you see other people, and it all begins in the day to day. When you see other people being celebrated, what is your initial reaction to it? Are you celebrating with them or are you angry about it? And now I'm not talking about the bullshit, you know what I mean? Like, oh, so happy for you type of thing. Like, are you truly celebrating that success? or are you jealous of that success? I know we talked about it in our store, and we had this when we was on the team, and I still have this mentality to this day. Is like I know like whenever anybody on the team would win an award, it was like, all right, this is dope, but who else won? Type of
Mm,
mentality. Like
mm.
who else is eating with me? And I have that to this day. I remember I was talking with my boss because I just got recognized for something, and I was like, this is dope. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm grateful that people see value in what I'm doing. But I'm like, what am I if what I'm doing isn't helping other people be great, then how valuable is it really?
Facts. That's when I knew the position I'm in is great, and I'm grateful for it. But I knew I was destined for another position because it wasn't about my success anymore. It was about how I can contribute to the others around me, including my peers, including others who was challenging me and wanting to, you know, do better than me. That didn't bother me though. It was more about how can I help them be successful, right? It's also something that you brought up last episode of being curious, right? If someone's winning or if someone had 83 points in the game, I'm curious on what they did in the off season or, in practice. What are they doing to train themselves to drop 83 points, right? Like that curiosity. I have a question for you though, because I'm not everybody has that mindset, specifically to you, as far as like, all right, you won this achievement. How do I make others better? And stuff like that. When did that come about? Right? Because I don't think people are born with that. I think it's something that is maybe implemented in them or installed in them growing up or whatever the case may be. But when do you think that flipped for you and why?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, man. I don't know if I could point to a specific moment in time. I think, honestly, I think it was just something that's been reinforced throughout my entire life and all the situations that I've been in. And that's all credit to God. You met my parents, and they were very much like that. My dad always had a saying, if one person can eat, two people will eat. And if two people will eat, then three people can eat. It's just about the work that you're willing to put in to make sure that everybody eats. Because that's the true measure of a well, when you're talking about a father, a provider, right? Of a father, a provider's greatness is all are your people eating. And then obviously the church that I grew up in also reinforcing it. But then again, when I joined the workforce, well, when I played sports, it was always like that, right? The man next to you, right? What are you doing to help elevate, your teammate? And you always talking about it, right? Sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel, right? What are you doing to battling in practice to make each other better? What are you doing to challenge each other? And then, of course, when I joined the workforce and we joined teams, it was very much like that as well, which is, listen, man, everybody out here can win the ISO. Everybody out here can win the one-on-one. But if we truly want to be the best team out, we got to make each other better. And the best way to do that is by celebrating each other, working hard for each other. Because everybody will eat individually, but it's what are you doing for the person that's struggling a little bit at this moment to remind them who they are, pick them back up, and to help them reach new heights.
I'm so happy you caught that alley oop because I was hoping you did tie it into the sports since that's kind of like our bread and butter right now because I think it resonated with me being in those team environments. Like it was great to feel, like the guy, right? Or it felt great being a key contributor to our success. But ultimately, the goal was to win as a team and make sure our team was getting better. And I think that comes with the sacrifices we have to make. Sometimes you got to hit a sacrifice fly. Perfect analogy, right? So you can advance the runner. Um, so when you have that mindset, I think things will start changing as far as the contributions that are being made and making sure everybody's better. So I love that you tie that into the team aspect of sports.
And I think like you called out the sacrifice fly in baseball, right? It's or just even just getting the runner all over, right? You got a runner on second, less than 2 outs. You want to try to get him to third, so you hit the ball to the first, to the right side of the diamond. You call that a productive out where you did your job. It's not necessarily about you hit the ball out of the park, even that you got a hit, but you did something that helped advance the team.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And life is very much like that, right? Where it's not always about your name being in the spotlight. It's not about that. It's about the team being in the spotlight. It's about the team getting the win. Because at the end of the day, you're going to benefit off of that anyways. And I'll tell you what, it might seem like people forget. God doesn't forget. He doesn't
Mhm.
overlook that. He knows what you did. He knows how you sacrificed. And you're gonna have more honor bestowed on you anyways. So I think that's one thing too, is not seeking validation or seeking recognition. I got a saying that I always share with people. I'm like, man, my recognition for hard work is not an award that I get from my job. It's the paycheck that hits my account every other week. That's my recognition for doing work, right? They paid me. If they want to do anything extra, awesome. Thank God, I'll take it. But other than that, if I ask for more, I'm asking for too much. So I'm gonna just show up, do a good job, keep my head down, and that's that. And then, like I said, help those to come up, because you know what it is too. It's a level of confidence, you know, like, and I'm sure you feel this way too. It's like, yo, I know I'm gonna get mine.
Mhm.
That's not even a question. It's not even a
Mhm.
question if I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna get mine. I'm
Mhm.
gonna eat. How do I make sure the person next to me eats too? That's the
Correct.
challenge. The challenge is not getting yours. That's easy, man. If you're still struggling and that's your goal is to get yours, then you got a lot of work to do,
Mhm.
right? And you got to figure out, like, why am I struggling so hard just to get mine? Then
Love
it's
that.
when you're leveling up, especially when you get into leader positions, and that's what people are looking for. We talked about it last week. Like, just because you're good at sales doesn't mean you'll be a good leader, or just because you're good at the individual position doesn't mean you'll be a good coach of that position. Is how do I make sure other people can replicate the success that I'm seeing or even do better than that?
Yeah. I love that you said all that, right? It kind of reminded me of my mantra of like, I'd rather my legacy be able, be said as what kind of impact I made on people, right? Like, yeah, you can have all these rewards and recognition, make shit ton of money. What impact did you make on another person's life, right? And if I'm all for me, how I'm not doing that. I'm being selfish. So, and I think that's another reason why I love that to lead and inspire is because feedback I've been receiving for many years is how I've made an impact on people's life. And that's the legacy I'd rather live on or die on.
I mean, it's a legacy that lasts longer. Like,
Yeah.
if you want lasting impact, let's say you make a bunch of money and you give it to your kid, but they didn't have to work for it at all, or your grandkids, let's say, and they didn't have to work for any of it. They're not going to recognize the value of it, and it's just going to go away. They're going to blow it. If what you do, I mean, it's that saying, right? You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for life, right? Is you pay those skills and those things that you learn forward, and it's going to continue to perpetually move on, and it's going to last longer than any amount of physical financial gain that you can ever get will. Just because when people don't appreciate it, easy come, easy go. But when people were like, oh, this guy's trying to teach me something, they got to go through their own struggles and be like, all right, well, now what he's saying makes sense. I got to get it for myself. They're going to be like, damn, I get it now. It's going to leave a lasting impact. So I love that. And that's the aim of the show too, right? Impact one life. We were successful because then that person goes and pays it forward and they impact one person. And that just keeps going and spreading. And, you know,
Legacy, legacy. Yes, sir. Great
wow,
show. Great
great
show.
show. Great show. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I love the feedback that we're getting. Like I said, great, good, bad, really bad. Love everything. Just don't be indifferent. If something that we said sparked something in you, whether it encouraged you or it made you fucking pissed, let us know. Let's start the conversation. Can't wait to chop it up with everybody. Until next time, think critically, speak infamously. It's love.
Love.